Why was this particular investigation, known as Project Tovar, really considered, or is considered, a historic moment for federal law enforcement in terms of its ability to work also with the private sector?
Because it has it all. I mean, what a great case. People have actually heard of these botnets that are infecting computers and encrypting the hard drives and then sending notes to people saying, if you don't pay us money, you don't get the encryption code, and you have no data left. So this has been affecting a lot of people.
It's like ransom, basically.
It is. It's ransomware. That's what it's called. And it's nasty because a lot of times all you hear about are the computers that are stealing information, which the Game Over Zeusbot was doing very silently. But the other is really kind of in your face. We're going to actually encrypt your hard drive. So it's a particularly nasty set of circumstances. And what's wonderful about it is that it was an international operation where they don't only take down the infrastructure, which protects all the victims, but they've got a guy with pictures up and an international manhunt, so he won't be doing this again. So it really captures everything.
You know, it's such a new environment, Peter, that we're living in right now, where it seems like you're hearing about all these cyber attacks on a daily basis. What do you advise the government right now to do? I know you have a cybersecurity firm that specializes in helping government entities. How do you assist the United States of America in terms of trying to deal with some of this?
So these issues are tremendously difficult between the various different agencies and how that's been allocated versus their various responsibilities. You have a huge number of very, very talented people who are focused on this and are working to defend the American private sector. But the authorities on when they respond, how they respond, what are the unintentional second and third order effects of that are intensely complex.
Well, how do you respond? I mean, if you're a company, let's use a company for an example, and you find out that you've been hacked into. I mean, what's your first move? Do you go to the government and say, hey, I need help, or do you try and deal with it internally? Steve?
I would say your first move is to make sure that you have very qualified forensic investigators on scene. So whether you have your own or you have to go out and get somebody, you really need to take your environment and ensure that
assuming you're a big enough business, right, that you can be bringing in forensic investigators.
I think it's a good point. If you don't, it even raises the reason more to call in law enforcement so that they might be able to help you. But in any event, you certainly want to make sure that you've stabilized the situation. And there are a lot of good reasons then to call in law enforcement. So
not to.
To call in. No, to. I think there are a lot of good reasons to call in.
Because a lot of companies feel like there's a lot of reasons not to call. No, really. I mean, that's a legitimate concern right now, Peter. The privacy, protecting your privacy as a corporation, how do you do that? Also protecting all of your customers' privacy or your users' privacy. If you've been compromised and you bring the government in, there's got to be a lot of trust there.
Absolutely. And there's no doubt that recent activities, a lot of which you were just discussing with Snowden, have certainly had a dampening effect on that, or even just the optics of working with the government in some way. So I know that there are a number of different efforts with the government right now where they are really bending over backwards to reach out to the private sector and rebuild those bridges of trust.